On Sunday, Italy is about to make history. For the first time since World War II, Italy will have a far-right leader. Giorgia Meloni's Brother of Italy party is leading in the polls. If she wins, she will form a right-wing government. So why is Italy holding a snap election? It was sparked by the resignation of Prime Minister Mario Draghi and, in turn, the collapse of the coalition government. In fact, it was former Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte who triggered the collapse. Conte's five-star movement pulled the plug on the government. After withdrawing support for Draghi's economic aid measures, Draghi's resignation kicked off Italy's general election season, a month before most Italians flock for holidays. On September 25th, the country will hold its snap election. So who is expected to win? The far-right Brothers of Italy has the edge for now. Let's give you a bit background. It is a conservative and populist party led by 45-year-old Giorgia Meloni. The Brothers of Italy party was founded in 2012. It traces its roots back to a neo-fascist group, the Italian Socialist Movement. The group was set up after World War II. It was formed in 1946 by supporters of dictator Benito Mussolini. Even the party's symbol is a tricolour flame. Often equated with the fire burning on top of Mussolini's tomb, the motto of the party is also an old and controversial one. It says, God, fatherland and family. As a teenager, Meloni joined the youth wing of Italy's neo-fascist movement. She later became the country's youngest ever minister under Silvio Berlusconi in 2008. However, Meloni has rejected the fascist label, distancing herself from the party's far-right roots. Instead, she calls the party a moderate conservative force. However, the party has been accused of harboring neo-fascists in its ranks, including descendants of Mussolini. In fact, the entire party is filled with Mussolini nostalgists. They want to rediscuss the Eurozone's treaties. They have a zero-tolerance policy on immigration. They preach boosting the birth rate of Italians. They oppose same-sex parenting and often take part in the anti-LGBTQ+ demonstrations. The party is currently leading a right-wing coalition, including Matteo Salvini's Northern League and Silvio Berlusconi's Go Italy. On the other side is a centre-left coalition. Its biggest force is the Democratic Party. It also includes the Italian People's Party and other smaller parties. With a variety of progressive positions, bridging the left-right binary is the standalone five-star movement. Italy's former Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte is its leader. Italian politics have remained consistent since the country became a republic, but electoral laws here change frequently. This year too, things will be a bit different for Italians, much like the 2018 election. The current electoral system favours coalition over individual parties. It sets the majority threshold at 40% of seats. The Brothers of Italy party could emerge as the single largest in the polls, leading a coalition of right-wing parties to a majority, which means that Italy is currently on the brink of history. It could mean that Meloni will lead Italy's first far-right government since World War II. She could also become the country's first female prime minister. This means a far-right leader will lead Italy again, almost 100 years after Benito Mussolini stormed Rome. For more analysis, we have with us Lorenzo Castellani live from Rome. Castellani is an adjunct professor of history of political institutions at the Luis Guido Carlia University in Rome. Professor, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
My first question, this happens to be a crucial election. As for the first time since the end of World War II, the election in Italy could bring a far-right leader to power. What has led to this, in your view?
Well, what is really new is the fact that the prime minister might become a far-right leader. To be more precise, far-right was still in government during the Berlusconi's era. So since the mid-90s, Alleanza Nazionale, the forerunner party of Giorgia Meloni's today's party, was in government, remained in government the entire period of Berlusconi. So what's new now is that Fratelli d'Italia is leading the coalition, and then the League, who is far-right as well, is the second party. So the right-wing coalition is more far-right than ever. And these two parties at European level are not part of the European mainstream politics, not part of the EPP, European Popular Party, for example. So Meloni will be an outsider, not only in Italy, because she has never governed except when she was very young with Berlusconi, but as well in Europe. So this is very significant, particularly for Italian foreign policy and diplomatic relationships. So we will face perhaps some months of difficulty and uncertainty in terms of international relationships.
Right. Professor, you say that Giorgia Meloni is an outsider of sorts. Let's talk about Meloni herself. What impact would Meloni have on the social fabric of the country if elected?
She's a very effective leader. She proves to be very smart in managing her political position in the past. The people are voting her not only for her political platform that you described very well, but also because she's perceived as credible and very consistent. Her party refused to ally in the past with other parties who were not on the right of the spectrum, while all the other Italian parties created multiple alliances in parliament. So she's perceived as a very coherent and strong leader. And the fact that she's a female, of course, is...
Right. If I may interject, you say that she's perceived as a competent, coherent leader. But there is a fear about the social fabric of the country changing, given the far-right stance on homosexuality, same-sex parenting, immigration as well. Those remain core issues.
These are two very different issues. Immigration is a very popular issue, so there's much support for tightening illegal immigration and for stopping illegal migrants. On this platform also the Italian left changed his agenda in the past because, of course, we have received an enormous amount of illegal migrants in the past years. While not so popular or not popular as immigration is, the fear attached to civil rights. What we can say is that Meloni won't, of course, make any step further in terms of gay adoption or gay marriages or gender equality, but she won't neither come back of decades, as sometimes she's depicted. She's a conservative. She's not a
moderate conservative, as she says.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, moderate, it depends. She's less moderate on this point. She's more moderate on economy. But of course, it's not anything special in terms of European politics. There are many European parties, conservative parties, which have the same position of Meloni's one.
Right. Just a final question there, Professor. We recently saw far-right party surge to popularity in Sweden. Experts say that the party capitalized on people's fears around rising crime. Could the Italian vote be a sign of a rise in far-right sentiment across the European bloc?
Yeah, I think so. We are the third largest country of the European Union. So the opportunity for Meloni is to establish a web of new parties, of new conservative parties. And of course, the moderate parties in Europe are in crisis since many years. So every year, new conservative and far-right parties are rising. And of course, Meloni, for the capacity and of course, the importance of Italy, can play a very important role. And we should see how she will deploy her leadership eventually in Europe, because she might have also the opportunity to normalize for many aspects these group of conservative parties, perhaps shaping new relationship with moderate parties and making conservatives more mainstream rather than outsidership as it is today.
Right, Professor, thank you so much for all those insights, and thanks for joining us on WION World is One at this hour.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.